Just to remind everyone that the title of this workshop is how to engage learners through digital note sharing and video content, primarily using the iPad. There's one particular app that I'm going to get you to use today and get comfortable with, okay? Before I do that, I do want to go through some pedagogical benefits. Now, there's been research on the use of video content in classrooms for several decades, and some of the pedagogical benefits that the University of Queensland has done itself. They've been funded by the local government to do a program on 1,000+ students. One set of students were doing flipped classrooms, so they're doing lessons with video content, and then the other class was just doing traditional learning through lectures. And so they found 4 really big points that stood out to them. One of them was facilitating thinking and problem solving. Okay, that was one of the concepts. I'll share this out later on anyway, so you can read through the research yourself if you're interested in. Assisting with mastery of learning. Okay, that was another key factor that video content really helps students to develop. And then it was inspiring and engaging students, and the last one was authentic learning opportunities. Okay, it's a form of self-discipline, self-management, and acquiring those soft skills, you know, in the 21st century for students to now develop their own management. Okay, so everyone knows of Sal Khan. Sal Khan really was one of the influencers of video learning, okay, and his TED Talk was titled, "Let's Use Video to Reinvent Education," okay? And the first slide that I put up was about the University of Queensland. It's not a standalone initiative. It's now government-wide. You know, government's looking into, hey, how can we reinvent? This was about engineering. This was an engineering course in university level. And so there has been a lot of research. I'll share out some of these articles because there's some new research as well in like 2018, 2019. I really want to have a blended classroom. So I really endorse traditional teaching as well as developing some video content so that we can sort of flip the skills and the facts, okay? Because you're never going to flip the actual hands-on experience with students. The only thing you can really flip is the skills and the facts, yeah? The procedural tendencies of learning, yeah? So in mathematics and the sciences, we've got a lot of procedural learning. So we have to front load those procedural learnings. It is very important that the students reciprocate. And if they don't, then it's a point to say, well, how much extra am I doing? And is it worth that effort? Yeah, and it always is. So what I would like to do though, I would like to put you in a simulation to show you how a good presentation can get you so far, but then with video content, you will become masters of a particular skills. Can I do that? Right, okay. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get away from the research and I'm gonna try to teach you how to make a Masu box. Now I hope none of you have made a Masu box, because then it's pointless, because it's quite easy to do, yeah? However, I want you to follow my instructions, and to sort of simulate the classroom activity, I'm gonna give you a 30-second time limit for each step. There's 7 steps. Now, I'm deliberately trying to make it intimidating because I don't want it to be the fact that all of you, by the end of the 7th step, have all made the Masu box. I'm like, oh, okay, no need for video then. And so I'm gonna show you with this presentation. By the way, this is using an application called Doceri, and we're going to become masters of Doceri today, okay? Hopefully. We're going to start off with a square sheet of paper. Remember, I'm going to give you 30 seconds per instructions, okay? So it's going to be pretty fast. So you're going to have to look at the instruction and then follow suit, okay? Right. Cookie for whoever gets the Masu box, yeah? Please help yourself and get water wherever you need. But I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I'm going to set up my timer, okay? And this is deliberate. Of course, this is not how it's done in class, but I've chosen pink to contrast my purple shirt. Can you see that? Jeff? You'll hear it anyway. She'll say, hey, put your stuff down and stop, or I'm going to fire. All right, here we go. So the first instruction is, wait for it. Fold in half through midpoints in opposite sides, unfold, repeat for the other side. Not too difficult, huh? Well, I'm not going to check up. The next instruction, we've got 6 seconds. I'm going to wait for it. End. Right, okay, here we go. So I would like you to now flip the paper over and then fold the corners to the center. I had 25 seconds and my wife says, no, be generous, give him some more time. But you know what? You're asking for it. I'm giving you 25 now. Next step, next step, next step, next step. Right. I would like you to fold the edges to the center.
But you're cheating because the time already started before that video.
That's because you guys are getting too cheeky now. Okay. The massive box is now complete. Fill it with chocolate and give it to me.
Yeah, you get the box.
Huh?
Not there, then what do you do with it?
Right, hold up your massive box. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. I know Peter's is done. No? No one? No, I can't believe it. No. Oh, look. For those of you who've done it, well done. Great job. Yeah, you get a cookie. For those of you who haven't, there's still gaps in our learning. We need to go back and review what we need to do. Now, I've got two options. Rula, just give it. Don't worry about it. Come on. I need to move on. I'll give you one. Look, yeah. You have a special one, and I'll tell you why it's special in a bit, yeah? You have a special one. I'll tell you why. Right. Now, for those of you who have done it, you've completed a task in class. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can go home and now complete it again, unless you reverse engineer it and you go back and look at it, okay? And for those of you who haven't done it, there's clear gaps in learning, okay? Because maybe the instruction wasn't clear enough, maybe because you're not a visual learner, you're more of an auditory or kinesthetic learner, okay? You need to see it. Right, now I've been busy at work, and what I want you to do is with the iPads in front of you, go to YouTube, okay? And type in bed squared. So this is what you're looking for. You're looking for a video that says how to fold a Masu box, okay? It's a 4-minute video. It's the first one. I uploaded it this morning. Yes, correct. Okay, now what this allows you to do, I want you to watch the video, and I want you to now do another fold or do one that you haven't completed so far, yeah? The point is, depending on where you are in your learning, if you're up to step 4 and you need to go back and check, step 5 and 6, then feel free to forward the video or rewind the video, okay? And have a look at it, and then try to complete your Masu box. Right, let me give you the resource. You're going to be our prime example. Okay, here we go. So, take a seat.
Watch this and make it.
Yeah, watch it and make it. Do you mind if I get you on camera?
No, not at all.
No pressure, you're on camera. You need to be doing it in the comfort of your homes while you're sitting down at the couch. I'll tell you what, I'll let you off. I'll let you off, Simon. You could do it later on.
Have you run out of videos? Have you run out of date?
I didn't appreciate
I can be your outtakes.
I can see you all enjoying that, yeah? Which is great, yeah? The presentation that was prepared and the video was of the same resource, so I didn't have to double back and do extra work. All I had to do was just record it and do a voiceover, yeah? And there are seamless number of apps that we can use, and I'm sure you can use, just your camera and record, or you can use your computer to do a screencast, and so on and so forth. I've noticed though that through my practice of really getting deep into this, to really doing educational video content, that I found that Doceri is a fantastic application for me. And I've sort of, I'm in the ropes of pushing it out to the department. Now, there are certain members in the department who are using it, and they've understood how to use it within a very short time frame because it is very simple. And I'm going to get, my objective today is for you to get your hands on with Doceri, create a video of your own, and then not necessarily upload it, but then have a resource that you can share with the rest of the class, okay, our class, okay? I'm just going to show an example of a presentation that I prepared, last night, and I'm not necessarily, I don't know what the cycle is in design or in music or in art, so these are just made up. However, I'm going to put myself at risk and go through, look stupid, and go through a presentation I made, okay? Now, while I'm doing it though, I'm going to show you some of the application tools, okay? And then this is going to be the objective for today's session. Yeah, I want you to get onto Doceri, do a presentation of your own, and then make it into a video. And you'll see that throughout that practice, you've created content for your class that you can use as your class disposition, your presentation, as well as taking an extra 2 minutes to record it at home and then putting it up online somewhere. Okay, so very quickly, this is Doceri. It looks like this. Okay, hand with the pointing finger. Don't delve into it right now. Just listen to my presentation, then you can get on with making your own one, all right? Now, there are several templates in Doceri. So there's loads of templates that are available in Doceri. These are all of my lessons that I've created for my class. And what's fantastic is I do my lessons in class. So for example, you know, I'll do whatever, I'll do a lesson in class. And then that lesson, because I've prepared it prior to coming to class, I've also recorded it at home. It took me 2 minutes just to record it at home, and I've posted it online. Now students are watching this and they don't understand the part. And they say, well, so how did you do that? I said, don't pause me now, let me get on with it. So for those, you know, GNTs, they can get on with the classwork and I can extend them. And for those of you who don't understand it, you can go back and watch the video. Now the video didn't take me any more than about 2 minutes extra to make at home. Okay, I'm gonna show that to you. So I made one up. This one's for design. If I drag this down, this gives me a timeline for my edits on the application, okay? This is just like your whiteboard. It's nothing more than a digital whiteboard, okay? It's a glorified whiteboard. And what you can do with it is you can manipulate and erase and prepare your whiteboard lessons or your presentations or however you feel you want to do your disposition in class, okay? What's really good about this is I just sat there and I've done the lesson. What the application is doing for me, it's recording it on a timeline. I don't mean recording it as a video, it's recording it as strokes of a pen. So it records every stroke of my pen. If I write, if I erase, if I do an arrow. I want to show you what I've done here, yeah?
The moment it touches.
The moment it touches. So these are my strokes. So if I've got any spelling mistakes, you can see what I've done. So I wrote design, okay, on isometric paper. Now you can change the background. So I've chose isometric paper for this because on design, I'm gonna write here design. Now, look what I've done for design. I've erased that, and now I've wrote skeleton isometric sketch. That's what I think the first thing is in design. I might be wrong, but so I'm doing an isometric sketch of a car. This is a project that students are doing now. Now from that, I'm going to say, hey, my next step, can you see how it's paused? It's paused because I've put a marker there, and I can add a marker or I can subtract a marker at any point that I feel that I want to stop traffic light, okay? So I'm gonna press play. I'm gonna carry on with the strokes that I've done. Watch what's gonna happen. I can walk away from this and I can stand at here because I know Jeff's a troublemaker, and I'm gonna be standing here and say, what are you doing, Jeff? Why are you on your computer? While it's still doing the strokes that I've recorded at home. Yeah? So it's as if I'm on the whiteboard, but there's a second Mr. Hussein. Yeah? And I'm standing here to assist. Now, that's done it now, and this is called the improved isometric drawing. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna erase that again. Watch this. It's paused because I've put a marker there. I'm going to erase that and I'm going to say, okay, we're going to stage 3, which is the color drawing. And you can see here now I'm doing a bit of shading, okay, with this picture. The point is, it's prepared already, like you would come in the morning and prepare your class notes or your presentations or whatever. Now, I've done a few different examples of different subjects just to show that it is cross-platform. For example, here's a music class, and I'm going to press play, and it writes my lovely title, music. I'm going to erase it, okay? So now I'm just using the eraser tool and I've erased it. And now I'm going to do an example of a composition technique example. I don't know what this is, I just found it off the net. I've got no idea, sorry. Motive, okay, beginning the song, musical idea, and then the repetition, okay? And then what I'm doing is I'm just going to, right here, I could do this live. I could do, make a fool of myself and say, I don't know what's going on. Is that right?
That's how you say
Musical notation?
music.
Right, okay. Nonetheless though, I've already recorded this, so I don't need to look daft in front of my students. I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to press play. I'm going to press play and watch what happens, yeah? Oh, look at that. So I've now wrote the musical notation down, and I'm ready for students to now copy it down. Instead of writing on the board, I can get digital pictures, resources. I'll show you the next one. Look at the next one. The next one I think is a geography class. Now I've got a map, and I've written it geography. Now what I'm doing is I want all the 50 states here, yeah? So now I'm writing them down. I can get students to come down and say, hey, do you know what this one is? And they'll come and write it on, they can either write on the whiteboard, or they can come and scribble and write it down on the iPad, okay? What I tend to do with students is I don't call them up. I let them work in their zone of proximal development. So I'll go up to them and say, hey, guess one of these states and write it down, yeah? And so this is all pre-recorded, so it's great. Now, I don't know all the 50 states, so I've cheated and I've put a picture up there, yeah? Yeah, I didn't write any of that. So it's all pre-prepared, it's there, it can be interactive with students. The whole point though is the flipped classroom, or a blend of the flipped classroom, can really give our students a superpower, and that superpower is freezing time, okay? What they're doing essentially is they're freezing time and they're learning a skill that they can review in 2 weeks, in 2 months, in 2 years, and they can go back to it. Why? Because it's a digital resource as well as a video that you put online, okay? Right, okay, the last one is an art class, I think, okay? It's an art class, and you see, you're teaching the students about layering and shading, okay? This is a very wintry Christmas, okay? And you can see that I'm drawing a snowman, and I've cheated because this isn't mine. This is a Doceri template that was already there, yeah? I've just imported it into this. So this is an art lesson, and you're showing students how to layer and stuff, okay? And it's pre-planned. It's still going on because you can see your timeline is going on up to the end, and it's going to stop at the end of page 6, okay? So I'm doing a little snowflake, and I'm still walking around, and I'm seeing what are the kids doing. And I could be walking around with my iPad. Do you want to add anything to it? Yeah? So I could walk around, and while that lesson's going on, I could say, hey, would you like to add something to the picture? What reminds you of this winter day? So you could just...
Some arms.
Are you going to give them some arms? Stick arms. So you get students to engage with your lesson, and it's direct feedback. It comes straight up. And what happens is, so nothing is physically getting recorded in terms of a video. It's all the strokes of a pen.
But
so
those strokes are now recorded and becoming actual.
they're part of the timeline. Now I can go ahead and I can delete those if I would like. I can manipulate this as much as I want. Okay. So for example, if I go back to the design class here, actually, where it says isometric drawing, I don't want it to say isometric drawing. I want it to say isometric net or sketch or whatever key command term you have, yeah? I could change all of that stuff. Now I can erase it, or I can, and this is a bit of an advanced tool, if I long press on the screen, at that point in the timeline, I can do a lasso over it, okay, and I can delete that part of the annotation, okay?
More right than the rest of it.
Yeah, so I can delete that part of the annotation, okay? Now, that's all fine, that's all great. What I want you to do, I want you to ignore the timeline, okay? I'm going to get you to do just a lesson. Before the recording stage, before any of that, I just want you to prepare a very simple, just open up a page and create a very simple, modest presentation, okay? Now, it could be subject specific, or it could be anything that you fancy for today, yeah? And I want to share it as well. I want you guys to share it by the end. Now, how much time do we have? When do we finish this session? 11, so we've got 20 minutes, yeah? Right, so this is what I want you to do then. You've got an application called Doceri. If you open up Doceri, it will open up like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on the little plus button, okay? Can you see in the corner? You're going to click on the plus button, and then you're going to choose a resolution. Now you can choose the default iPad resolution. Because I create videos from this, I want to choose the full HD resolution, which is 1920 by 1080, okay? 1920 by 1080. Okay, and what to do, it just opens up in this plain old whiteboard. I want you to scribble with your finger. Unfortunately, you guys don't have pens, okay? Just scribble with your finger and write something down for an introduction of your lesson. Maybe write some things about yourself. Imagine it's the first class, okay? Start of year, first class, you want to introduce who you are to your students, and so you're going to introduce yourself. So write your name, maybe what subject you teach, welcome to whatever grade level it is, and write a note down. When you're done with this page, you wrote a few things down, you can click on, where's my ruler gone? You can click up here to add a new page, okay? So you can add a new page. Remember, all your strokes in the background are being recorded. We're not concerned about that. We're just concerned about what the final whiteboard looks like. Try to make your first page, and then you can add several pages if you like. And then what we'll do is we'll convert that to a video, okay? So these guys are exploring pictures. They're adding pictures to it. If you'd like to add a picture to it, just click on this picture tool, and then you can add a picture from your camera. Yeah, or your photo roll or your camera, and they're adding pictures through that.
So does it actually have a camera on?
Yeah, your iPad's got a camera.
Okay.
I want to show them on the
Yeah.
well, I can use this. I love the idea of. So I've drawn out that.
Yeah.
So I now put a marker down here.
Yeah.
Then I can say, right, I want this to play.
Yeah.
Okay, what I first can do, I want you all to draw a line there. Okay, and I don't want any audio in this. I want to be able to do this
Yes.
as ad hoc.
Yes.
Because there's going to be lots and lots of different questions, so I could then replay it and just
Yeah, you could just go back to first marker.
and then play it there.
Yeah.
Okay, 90 degrees.
What I'm going to do is, if I just rotate my iPad, it gives me two screens now, yeah? It gives me two screens. This is when we start recording. So all of my annotations and everything are still there. I've got all my annotations, everything's still there. I can still use the bottom screen to scrub through my timeline. So I can just scrub through my timeline and see what I've done, okay? I can just scrub through it and see what I've done. I'm going to go back to my original one, my design one, okay? Because I like this isometric drawing that I've done. What I'm going to do is,
Sorry, where did you get to screen?
if you just rotate it,
Oh.
yeah, just put it in portrait mode, and then you'll get two screens. Yeah?
Oh.
Okay, this is where the magic starts. I'm just going to quickly show you how easy it is for us to record this now, yeah? Now that you've got your presentation, how easy it is for you to record it. Okay, so I've got my iPad there now. What I want to show you is how I'm going to record this, okay? Can everyone see it, yeah? What I do to start recording is I literally just press the record button, okay? Now, I want to really scrub to where I want to start recording. I want to record this design thing. This is just for you to see what your presentation's about. And here, we can manipulate it by actually bringing a cursor. Can you see that? Now, what that does is it gives the students a focal point. That records with a little hand. You see the tutorials online where they have a little hand showing you, hey, now look at this point. This records with a little hand. Now I can change that hand by clicking on the screen. It will change to an arrow. It might go white, it might go black. I'll show you, look. So it changes to arrow, it changes to green, it changes to red. I'm going to leave it as a yellow arrow. I can change the orientation of it by clicking on the opposite side. So if I click on the opposite side, watch. If I click on this side now, it's going to change the orientation of it. I like it there. I'm going to keep it there. Right, now let me record and show you what happens, okay? I'm going to record with Voiceover now. So as I press record, the mic's on. So it's going to record my voice and all the ambient noise, okay? So I'm going to press record. Check this out. I'm happy to start recording, and I'm going to record. Press record. Right. Now that's recording everything. It's recording my voice now, and any of the keystrokes that I'm going to be playing. So check this out. I'm going to press play. This is what I do normally at home, yeah? So I press play. I'm like, guys, okay, I'm going to erase that. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do the skeleton isometric sketch, okay? And you can see here that I'm using the isometric lines to draw my square boxy car. Right, what are we going to do next? Right, so next then, I'm going to press play again and see what happens. So next, from the isometric sketch, step 2 is your improved isometric drawing. So before it was a sketch, now we're doing a drawing. Well, I'm going to stop that now. Now, when I stop, I have an option to pause, because my wife's like, hey, I made you a cup of tea. Do you want to come for dinner? Yeah, it's a night time. I'll pause it. So I'm going to stop. I'm done with that. I'm happy with that. I'll stop recording. And it brings me to this screen, okay? Now, this screen is basically all of my recorded videos, okay? So the one that I made last night about the Masu box, I recorded several times just to make sure that I was happy with it. So now I can play that back. Recording it. You get the point, yeah? You get the point. What I've done is on my iPad, when I've looked at my recordings, so I press record button. When I go back to my recordings, I can throw it straight onto YouTube. So I'm gonna take that drawing, put it on top of YouTube, and then that throws it straight onto YouTube. And I'm gonna give it a title, test video. You can call it whatever you want to call it, okay? How many molecules in a compound? There you go. How many molecules in a compound? Yeah. Give it a little description and send it out. So I'm going to send it out now. That, once it's processed, it's straight onto YouTube. Now, provided that you've logged into YouTube and you've put your credentials here. Yeah, you've got an account. Everyone's got an account because all of you got Gmails anyway. That is now uploaded. Now let me go to my YouTube and I'll show you. If I go to my videos, test video, there it is, isometric sketch. That's straight into YouTube. That really didn't take me any more than about 2 minutes because all I do is I use the same application to do all my lessons. I would record that at home within 2 minutes, make sure the kids are sleeping at night, and then record it and go on from there. On my channel, I have created so many different videos just using Doceri, okay? And it's as easy as you preparing your class beforehand and then just pressing the record button and then producing that. Nothing is free. It's free. Anyway, listen, that's the end of the session. And I would love to have more time for you to practice it. I know I've done a lot of talking and that's rubbish, but there's a lot of front loading, yeah?
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
So I'm going to come back. Love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, thank you. Yeah. Look, if there's anything else that I can do to support, I would love to, yeah? But that's my session come to an end and it feels quite premature, doesn't it? That, it's finished, end of story, no one's going to use anything in class. I would love to come into class and maybe do 1 or 2 with you guys, yeah? And just follow through if it's something that you want to do.